Welcome back, everyone. We are talking movies with the president of the Film Critics Association, the Music City Film Critics Association. They've just released their top movies of the year as judged by the film critics here in Nashville. We have Sean Atkins with us via Zoom. We're going to put up the list of nominees for Best Picture. And I kind of want you to go through, Sean, and just kind of give us a brief little overview of each one. And we'll start at the very top there, Belfast. Give us a little bit on each one of these movies.
Well, Belfast, it's a semi-autobiographical film, chronicles the life of a working class family, young son in the 60s. And with Come On, Come On, this is about a reporter who takes his nephew on a trip while he conducts interviews. Coda, Child of Deaf Adult, is about a girl in high school who is trying to achieve her dream while also working in the family business, which deals with fishing. Dune is a sci-fi epic based on a Harold novel. Licorice Pizza is based in the 70s and is a rom-com or love story or comedy of sorts from Paul Thomas Anderson. The French Dispatch is a Wes Anderson film about a local newspaper with all these stories intertwined together. The Harder They Fall is a Western starring a number of exceptional actors. The Power of the Dog is a Western featuring Benedict Cumberbatch. Tick, Tick, Boom from Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton, starring Andrew Garfield, is about a young Broadway writer trying to make it big. And West Side Story is a Steven Spielberg film that is also a remake of the classic from the 50s film.
Right, so a lot of variety here. Coda, Child of Deaf Adult. I saw that. I didn't have any idea what it was going to be about, and I really liked it. It was very surprising, and I thought it was really well done. And deaf actors are in that, and it's just very, very different to see a movie from that point of view. And I thought they did a great job. It's a very touching movie. I really liked that movie. And so I was happy to see you guys nominate that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Coda, and I didn't see that until toward the near end of the year. It had been raved about for months ever since it debuted at last year's Sundance Film Festival, January 2021, and then it was released in theaters here in Belcourt Theater here in town during the summer, but I didn't see it until last month. Very moving film. It's probably the best crowd pleaser of 2021, and if it just doesn't tug your heartstrings, I don't know if it's soul or not, personally. So.
Yeah, the best crowd pleaser. I think you might be right. All right, so again, we'll put up all those movies, and what did you all pick as the winner? Which of these movies was voted Best Picture by the film critics here in Nashville?
That winner was The Power of the Dog, which is the Western from Jane Campion, which stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst.
So that won Best Picture. And why do you think it won?
I think for this film, it's one I think it's the one I'm most proud of that the association chose, because it is, in my opinion, the best film of 2021. It's not necessarily a happy story or a sad story, but it's just, you have a commanding performance from Benedict Cumberbatch. It tackles toxic masculinity and is ultimately about the power of love. And once you watch this film from the get-go, it kind of just sinks its teeth in you and doesn't let go. And as it goes and goes and goes, and where you see the story ultimately ends up, I think it has quite an effect on people who watch it, where you're going to be thinking about it for a long period of time. I know I certainly did. I know other people in the association did.
That's fascinating.
But
I mean, what do you think makes a? Well, I'm sorry. What do you think makes a great movie? And you're absolutely right. This is a movie I saw, and you do think about it. I respect this movie for the way it told this story. it's just remarkable. There are things in there that are just great at the beginning, and how it all kind of fits together, and it's just, I respect it so much. And then something else I respect about a great movie is that it does kind of just linger with you. You think about it, and you think, oh, well, you call back to this other scene, and then you think, oh yeah, and it's so layered, and this movie certainly has that. And so when you say it lingers with you, what do you mean by that?
I think what I mean by that, when it lingers, is just the story it tells and these characters. And you don't necessarily root for anyone, but just overall everything that is contained within the film, not just the story, but the actors there, the production design, the cinematography, the score. Everything about it just makes it such a complete film. And nothing but respect to the other films that were nominated for Best Picture, but this one really just all around aces. And I mean, like I said, yeah, the way it tackles toxic masculinity with its character Benedict Cumberbatch as the lead, who is arguably the front runner at the Oscars for Best Actor right now, the relationship that he has with the characters in this, and how he just basically comes into the film with a sledgehammer, and he doesn't actually commit violence against any of these characters, but the way he acts, the way he talks, the way he handles things on the ranch where this film is set, it just makes for an all-around great movie, and what I think is the best film of the year, and the one that our association chose as Best Picture.
Fascinating. Now, when you look around the country, are a lot of other film critics associations picking Power of the Dog? Is this one of the movies that's just getting picked over and over? And what are some of the other movies on your list, or maybe that weren't on your list, that are getting selected by some other film critics associations that maybe you respect?
The last I checked, after we announced our awards, The Power of the Dog was certainly the leading film among critic circles across the country for Best Picture. And I think right just behind it were two other films, which were two films that we nominated for Best Picture as well. Those include Belfast and the other film, which is, I had to look again and see which one it is. Licorice Pizza, yeah, the Paul Thomas Anderson film. So it is The Power of the Dog that is the leader amongst all critics groups for how many Best Picture wins it has started to get. But those other two films are right behind there. So it's going to be a three-horse race at the Oscars, I think, for Best Picture.
And so let's put up, again, all the nominees from here in Nashville. And I want to ask you, what do you think, do you think they would all be nominated for an Oscar? Or is this a pretty safe bet for, because they could nominate up to 10 now, right? Do you think this is a pretty good idea? Or do you think there's some on here that are unique to maybe the Music City Film Critics Association that are not front runner Oscar, not being talked about in that way?
I think all the films except maybe a couple films are under consideration for Best Picture for the upcoming Oscars. The only two I think that will not be, and it will be unfortunate if they don't get nominated, are the A24 movie Come On, Come On, which stars Joaquin Phoenix, and Netflix's The Harder They Fall, which has arguably the best ensemble cast of the year. You look at that, just full of A-listers on it. I think those two films of the 8 nominees, the 10 nominees, are likely not going to have a say or will get nominated for Best Picture.
So I had not really heard about The Harder They Fall, and I see you all also chose that as, you have an award for what, Best Ensemble Cast, right? Which you just mentioned, and that movie won that award. So it's nominated here in Best Picture, and it wins for Best Ensemble Cast. Tell us a little bit more about The Harder They Fall, which you can see on Netflix, right? It's streaming right now on Netflix. You can see it there. Is that right?
Correct. It is currently streaming on Netflix. This Western, which I would categorize it as a revenge Western, stars a number of great actors right now. Idris Elba's in it. Jonathan Majors, who people have recently seen in the Disney Plus series Loki. And it's got a lot of people will recognize the cast when they might not know initially their name, but they will say, I recognize this person from somewhere or some film or some show. But this is a revenge Western that wears its confidence on its sleeve. It has style. It's violent. You can closely, I think, reminds me of Tombstone in ways as far as where the story goes. But this is an action-packed film. It's got a great soundtrack to it. It's one of the best movies of the year. It's so entertaining. You don't even have to be a fan of the Western genre to really appreciate this movie or really enjoy it for that fact.
Fascinating. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more. I want to talk about Dune. I want to talk about a few more movies on there, and then we're going to move on to some other categories. We'll take a break. We'll come back, continue our discussion all about movies. Take a break. Be back right after this.